Hey, what's up? Brad Chmielewski here. So I've been thinking about the length of podcasts a lot lately. So most of the time, the Shadow the Vein episodes that I do, they currently run about an hour. They usually fall in that 40-minute to 70-minute range. But usually like 60 minutes is kind of like the sweet spot for it. It's hard to, I think, grab someone on Skype and talk with them for over an hour about one single topic, one single game. Sure, if you had more people on, if you have multiple people on, then sometimes you can just keep going for longer than that. But I know I'm sitting here recording for an hour and I'm like, all right, I kind of got some other stuff to do. Like, let's wrap this thing up, right? But then, Jake Williams, who works at Lewski's with me, found or saw that The Angry Chicken, it's a podcast all about Hearthstone. I listened to it for a good while, kind of stopped because I haven't been playing the game as much. That episode was almost 3 hours this week, he said. What? About a card game. I know the show Twit, This Week in Tech, they go sometimes 3 hours. I get it. They cover like most of the news for all of that week, the tech news that happened. So 3 hours, I'm sure they could probably go, even longer than that. Just riffing, they usually have like 3 to 5 guests on. So of course that's going to go a long time. But 3 hours for one game? Holy crap. And then I saw T-Dog's Alternating Current podcast for Vainglory also. I think that one was at an hour and a half or an hour and 50 minutes, his last episode. It was pretty long. I haven't listened to it yet. I may try to give it a try tomorrow and see how far I make it through. But yeah, do people like the longer episodes or do you like the shorter podcast episodes? I tend to like the shorter podcast episodes because I feel like I'm like consuming a lot more and I'm like patting myself on the back. Like, yeah, I listened to that. I listened to that today. I listened to that thing. But if they're 2-3 hours every one and I'm listening to them at work, that's like one podcast because I'm usually like checking emails, answering other things. So it takes me a long time to make it through. Even an hour podcast takes me at least 3 hours to get through. Because I wanna hear what they have to say usually, and when it's 3 hours, I couldn't tell you what they talked about in the first 30 minutes of that show. But then the Chicago Beer Pass, other podcasts I do, we keep that at 30 minutes most of the time. If we have guests, sometimes that goes longer, can go up to about an hour. But 30 minutes is our sweet spot to talk about drinking in Chicago. It's pretty focused. I think that's a great length. And then Hopcast, another beer podcast I do, we used to keep that at 20 minutes because Facebook did not let us upload a video version longer than 20 minutes. So we are in and out with that show. We review 2 beers, not a lot of like banter unless we're already had a few beers in us. But that's like a pretty solid format because you can't talk that long about a single beer. I've seen podcasts, I've seen people do it. They do talk about one beer for a long time, especially if they're the brewer or something about that beer. They can talk about for a long time. So hats off to that. But yeah, I like my podcast shorter, concise, get to the point. I don't need this 2-3 hour podcast thing. Also, those files are huge. May I download those? I know a lot of people are paying for data and things like that. So I keep that in mind also when I'm making podcasts. Like, how big are these? Does someone have to download this? Can they download this? Do they have space when your podcast is like over 100 megabytes every episode? Yikes. Yeah. Let me know what you think. Throw a comment below. Just kind of what I'm thinking about as I do more and more podcasts. Throw a comment below. Hit that subscribe button. I'll be back with another video tomorrow.